Welcome to a crash course in modern annoyance. Rule 1. The universe is not, in fact, all about you. Originally, this rule was simply, I am that I am, a fairly straightforward declaration. However, millennia of human interpretation, particularly after the invention of what they optimistically called social media, necessitated a significant update. It seems the concept of a grand, benevolent, and vaguely paternalistic deity existing solely to fulfill individual desires had become rather entrenched. This revised rule serves as a polite, yet firm, cosmic clarification. For millennia, humans had gotten away with it. Miracle cures, cryptic prophecies, divinely inspired messages whispered during epileptic seizures. They clung to the old texts like a life raft. Now, however, standing amidst the hive mind of an Instagram live queue and a session, Gary knew the foundation of faith was shifting beneath them. How could he nudge them toward a new understanding? Should he turn the Wi-Fi off for 5 minutes? Did sarcasm translate across theological dimensions? He tried a Socratic approach. Gary posed a hypothetical. A small group of believers, having endured unimaginable suffering, sought answers from their leader. "Give us a sign," they cried, "a message from on high. Tell us why the quinoa is costing so much." The leader pondered, stroking a meticulously groomed beard. "Why indeed?" he said. "Perhaps it's because the global market forces of supply and demand have conspired to elevate the price of this humble grain." The believers gasped. "But we are special," they wailed. "Don't you know the prophecy? The quinoa shall be cheap and plentiful when the messenger wearing sandals arrives." The leader nodded sagely. "Ah, yes, I forgot. Our quinoa shall always be as abundant and affordable as our commitment to following our leader." The believers looked at each other, then slowly ambled out, muttering about gluten intolerance and smug veganism. Gary smiled faintly. Maybe subtlety wasn't completely lost on them. There was hope yet. Gary decided to start with the basics, the fundamentals of a new covenant. Here in the 21st century, divine guidance had to be delivered via an algorithm. He drafted the opening tenet of his crash course. The universe is not, in fact, all about you. It was blunt, memorable, kind of mean. He liked it. Gary understood that in the modern world, attention was the rarest commodity. And to pierce through the ambient hum of distractions, a message needed to be as direct as possible. In fact, Gary mused, maybe obnoxious was the divine virtue they most needed right now. He continued drafting. "You are but one tiny shard amidst the infinite kaleidoscope of existence. You do not matter. Actually, you matter a great deal. You are insignificant," he wrote. "You have unique gifts and potential that can change the world." He scribbled and erased. Why bother with ambiguity? Why hedge the truth with metaphors and parables? In the age of cancel culture, it was far better to piss people off completely than risk alienating everyone with vagueness. Gary's epiphany was brutal, honest, digital, and devoid of sentimentality. He finished the crash course, saved the file, titled it Crash Course in Modern Annoyance, zipped it, uploaded it to the cloud, and then sent the link to the email address that the marketing team had helpfully generated for him. The work was done. Now he waited, basking in the glow of 4G internet connection, for the feedback. In the silence of the co-working space, Gary felt the weight of billions of lives hanging in the balance. Would they understand? Would they care? Would they stop bothering him about whether pineapple belonged on pizza? Gary shuddered. Well, here goes nothing. The response was immediate, swift, and in true millennial fashion, utterly divisive. Some greeted the crash course with open arms, embracing its bracing honesty as a refreshingly stark path to enlightenment. Others recoiled in horror, accusing Gary of heresy, a complete betrayal of the spirit of compassion and inclusion. As the debate raged across the ether, Gary, feeling a sudden longing for solitude, slipped out of the co-working space unnoticed. He strolled through the city, observing the chaos he'd unleashed. On a street corner, two men in ill-fitting tracksuits argued heatedly over the merits of pineapples on pizza, each convinced he possessed the ultimate irrefutable logic. In a Starbucks, a woman in a power suit desperately texted her assistant about the meaning of life while waiting for her soy latte to cool down. In a high school, a group of teenagers huddled around a phone filming a TikTok dance routine to the strains of The Rite of Spring. Gary smiled faintly. Was this what progress looked like? Was the crash course helping or hindering them? Suddenly, he saw a young boy sitting on a stoop outside a row house. The child stared intently at the chipped paint on the sidewalk, seemingly oblivious to the honking cars and construction work. Something about his posture, the way he held himself, intrigued Gary, so he approached cautiously. "Excuse me," Gary asked, "but are you a particularly dense fragment of a neutron star momentarily coalescing into sentience?" The boy looked up, startled, then grinned. "No, sir. I'm just enjoying the moment. Mr. Williams told us to take a breather and appreciate the natural world. Mrs. Henderson says the concrete's part of the natural world now, but whatever." Gary sat down beside the boy, enjoying the surprising comfort of the cracked concrete. "Mr. Williams and Mrs. Henderson," Gary repeated, a faint smile touching his lips. Maybe there was hope for them yet. If humanity could withstand the crash course in modern annoyance, it just might survive long enough to ruin everything on its own. Gary pondered this as they stood together watching a pigeon peck listlessly at a discarded pastry. They had the free will, intelligence, and capacity for self-destruction necessary to ruin pretty much anything. Sure, the old systems occasionally broke down and caused a few billion people to die, but those were usually fixable problems: earthquakes, tsunamis, pandemics. Just toss some money at it and reorganize the deck of life a bit and things tended to settle down. Human affairs were a lot like fixing a car. There were hiccups and breakdowns, sure, but nothing a few well-timed Hail Marys couldn't resolve. Still, there was something different about this time. Gary had seen the spark of curiosity in the boy's eyes as he watched the pigeon. Perhaps there was a chance that instead of throwing money at their problems, humans would figure out how to, not have them. Maybe they'd use their free will to build something better. Gary didn't want to corrupt their potential. Their ingenuity, no matter how annoying they were, was a wonder to behold. Maybe the crash course in modern annoyance would give them a fighting chance. Maybe they'd figure it out. Except for once, Gary wasn't actually certain. Gary leaned back against the cool brick wall and watched the sun dip below the horizon. New York glittered into life. People bustled about, purposeful, distracted, hopelessly romantic, laughably narcissistic. The city throbbed with energy and possibility. Across the street, a bodega sold cheap candy and warm smiles. A couple shared a stolen kiss in the doorway of an apartment building. A musician tuned his guitar, preparing to sing songs about heartbreak and revolution. Life went on. Gary, for a moment, almost envied them.